Hello everyone, welcome back part 2 grade 8 subject civics topic Indian Constitution. In the previous session we learned about a few key features of Indian Constitution. So rest of the key features we are going to learn in this chapter. Federalism. What is federalism? This refers to the existence of more than one level of government in the country, and that is what makes our country's constitution a bit different than the other ones. In India, we have government at the state level, at the center, and Panchayati Raj, the third tier of the government. The vast number of communities in India meant that a system of government needed to be advised that did not involve only persons sitting in the capital city, New Delhi, and making decisions for everyone. If that would happen, if the people of country sitting in New Delhi, in our capital, and making decisions for the entire country, it would have been very difficult, very chaos in the entire nation. So that our government has been into the center as well as in the states and in the district level, that is Panchayati Raj. So instead, what we did, it was important to have another level of government in the states so that decisions could be made for that particular area and the decisions would be faster, the justice would have been served faster, so that we have made our system that way. While each state India enjoys autonomy in exercising powers in certain issues, subjects of national concern require that all these states follow the laws of the central government. Whatever judgments are being passed by the state government are being supervised by the central government, and they have to follow the laws and order of the central government, and under their guidance they have to work. Let us go to next. Now, parliamentary form of the government. What is parliamentary form of the government? The different tiers of the government that you just read about consist of representatives who are elected by the people. Constitution of India guarantees universal adult suffrage for all the citizens. When they were making the constitution, the members of the Constitution Assembly felt that the freedom struggle had prepared the masses for universal adult suffrage and that this would help encourage a democratic mindset and break the clutches of the traditional caste, class and gender hierarchies. What was happening before the independence? Before India got independence, there were low importance given to the ladies. There were casteism. There were classes, higher classes, superior classes, upper class, lower class, even caste, higher classes, lower class caste. So accordingly the society was divided, and higher class, upper caste people would dominate the lower caste, or maybe gents would dominate the ladies. So that differences should not happen in independent India. Accordingly we drafted a constitution. So these mindset in the people should not remain as it is after the independence. So accordingly we prepared our constitution. This means that the people of India have a direct role in electing their representatives, and all the members in the nation, all the people in the nation who are above 18, whoever it may be a king, maybe a landlord, or maybe a common man, all had the right to vote under universal adult franchisee. So accordingly all of them were voting for their representatives in their concerned constituencies. Also, every citizen of the country, irrespective of his her social background, can also contest in elections. Like every citizen of India has the right to stand for the election and be a representative of his constituency. So that right has been given to us by our Indian constitution. These representatives are accountable to the people. Those who are elected representatives, they are elected on the basis of people who have voted for them in the elections. So for them, they have it is their duty to respond the citizens of that constituency and solve the problems of them. Both of them are accountable to each other. Next, separation of powers. This is very important key features of our Indian constitution, that according to the constitution there are three organs of the government, and this is what makes it different than others. These are the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. Legislature means the members which we elect, the member of parliament, the member of legislative assembly, or whoever the elected members from the voting or elections. And second, executive are the IPS, IAS, IRS services, Indian civil services. Through those officers have been appointed, that is they are coming under executive form. And third are judiciary, that is Supreme Court, High Court, and District Court, even Tahsil courts. They are coming under the judiciary. The legislature refers to our elected representatives. The executive is a smaller group of people who are responsible for implementing laws and running the government. The judiciary, of which you will read more in unit 3 about this book, refers to the system of the courts in their country. In order to prevent the misuse of power by any of the branch of the government, this constitution says that each of these organs should exercise different powers, and through this each organ acts as a check on the other organs of the government, and this ensures the balance of power between all three. Means no one can misuse the power. None of the system can misuse the power, so that it has made such a way, the constitution has been made such a way that no one can misuse, or maybe we have the common citizen also can safeguard his own rights. Now, fundamental rights, as we saw, it is very important to have fundamental rights to every citizen, and this is what makes our country a proud nation, to have fundamental rights to every citizen. Under this, the section on fundamental right has been often referred to as the conscience of the Indian constitution. Colonial rule had created a certain suspicion on the state in the mind of nationalists, and they wanted to ensure that a set of written rights would guard against the misuse of state power in independent India. Before India got freedom, we all are known about the British, how they behaved with Indians, how they judged the Indians, how they treated the Indians. So that same thing our constitution drafting committee did not want to have the same problems continuously going in the independent India. So to protect these citizens against the arbitrary and absolute exercise of power by the state, the constitution thus guarantees the rights of individual against the state as well as against the individuals. So the rules and regulations are made such a way to safeguard all these people from safeguarding their rights. So what are the fundamental rights that are given by the Constitution of India to us? They are right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, and cultural and educational rights. Now, first one, what is right to equality? Right to equality is having equal status, whether it may be rich or poor, gents or ladies, girl or boy. It does not make any difference. Everyone is citizen of the country, and every individual has the right of equality. He can settle down anywhere. He can gain whatever education he wishes to take. He can take up a job whichever he wishes to take. So this is right to equality. Second, right to freedom, that every single citizen of the country is free to, as I said earlier, free to take job, free to settle down, free to construct building as they want. Next, right against exploitation. This is one of the very important rights to be given to Indian citizens, that is right against exploitation. What has been happening since many years, that ladies or small children are forced to work or put for labors. So children below the age of 14 have to have education. No one can make them, no one can exploit them to work under them. If they do so, they can be punished by the law. So that is right against exploitation. Right to freedom of religion. As we all know, there are and so many religions in our country. There are Hindus, there are Muslims, there are Sikhs, there are Zoroastrians, there are Christians, and all of them have can practice their religions according to their religion. So if I want to leave Hinduism and join Christianity, I can become, because my constitution has given me that freedom, that right to freedom of religion, or anybody can transfer their religion. So and can practice their religion. Even some educational institutions are being formed for practicing their religious rights. Now cultural and educational rights. As we all know, we proudly say that we have unity in diversity. It is a multilingual, multicultural and multi-religious country. So various cultures are there. They can practice their culture according to their own way, and our constitution safeguards their cultural rights. Even educational rights, anybody can take up any job as per his capabilities, as per his wishes, as per his ambitions. So anybody can take up any education and work accordingly in our country. So this is how the chapter has ended. Thank you.